Hey everybody, welcome back to Lean by Doing. Today I want to share with you guys the most epic lean adventure I have ever been on in my entire life. So let's go. Back in December when Tom Hughes came to Michigan, he invited me to come to Ireland for an epic lean tour. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. He said, no, but we need to do it like this spring. And I thought, there's absolutely no way I'm doing this alone. Someone has to come with me from the shop so they can absorb all of this lean knowledge as well. So I brought Brian.
Ta-da.
And Brian, we did 4 days, 700 miles, 7 businesses.
Many, many hours in the car.
All driving on the wrong side of the road.
It was crazy. It was absolutely wild. It felt wrong.
Yeah, it was an experience that I don't even know what to. It's like sort of what I expected, but very different than what I expected.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just sitting in the front seat where we would normally have a driver, it just felt so weird. I didn't want to put my feet forward, like I was going to hit the gas or the brake, or like you wanted to grab the steering wheel. At one time, you grabbed the steering wheel that didn't exist when Tom was driving. So yeah. Pretty crazy. We got
into Dublin and we had never driven on the left-hand side of the road. So I signed up for this and I was like, all right, let's do this. We had a little bit of time to kill because we actually came in on the Ireland's Labor Day.
Yeah.
So it was a holiday in Dublin. So it was pretty hopping in Dublin. We went up to see a castle while driving on the wrong side of the road, going past some buses.
That was scary. I mean, the roads just kept on getting narrower and narrower. We went to the Malahide Castle.
Yeah.
And I looked it up, had really good reviews, and it was 10 minutes from the airport. So, hey, let's go do that. It'll be a good way to kind of wake up from our overnight flight. And, that was pretty scary, coming around those curves, and then all of a sudden there's a huge double-decker bus coming right at you, and you may have brushed the curb a time or two. So.
I annihilated a curb at one point. I mean, the roads were this wide. And you had to fit this freaking double-decker bus plus our little Renault on this road. And at one point, I picked my phone up out of my pocket, and just as I did that, bam, into the curb. I mean, I hit that curb so hard.
I was lifting my legs up, just like leaning towards the inside. It was nuts.
The whole rest of the week, I was thinking, they're for sure going to pick this up when I return this rental car, and I'm for sure getting charged for this. And I was shocked when we turned the car in, and they just disregarded it. They didn't even see the giant gash down the wheel.
You left a mark.
So after messing around, driving around the wrong side of the road, trying to find somewhere to eat on a holiday, spending a little bit of time in Dublin, we picked up Tom at the train station in Dublin, and then we headed south.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where our lean journey began. And that began this long, epic drive across pretty much all of Ireland and Northern Ireland.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, south and then back north to the middle, then back to the west, and then finishing in Northern Ireland. It was Tom hooked us up. Tom did us really well. He treated us very well.
I don't think he realized how late we'd be getting in everywhere. I think he thought things would be a little more condensed, but we spent a lot of time at a lot of these businesses during our visits. And because of that, it would be 10, 11 p.m. every night we were checking in, and we were changing hotels every single night. So it was like the most American version of, I mean, just cram it all in.
Yeah.
We got to get it in. Can't miss it.
A typical American vacation.
Yeah.
Just do as much as you can while you're there. Just, pack it in.
It was really hard, though, because so many people wanted us to visit. They wanted us to see things, and it was hard to say no. Yeah. So we just kind of went with the approach of let's just try to squeeze it all in. And it came at the expense of our fatigue.
Sure.
Now, when we're home in the United States.
I think, it took probably 4 days. Like, we're on day 4 now, where I actually feel like I'm caught up on my sleep and back to the Eastern time zone.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, I was done at like 6 o'clock every day up until last night, just ready to go to bed, but just kind of push through it, get used to our time. So,
I mean, I wanted to lay down on some train tracks. I mean, I was so worn out. I mean, I was just done. My feet hurt, my knees hurt, like every part of my body hurt. I kind of felt like I had the flu. I knew it was something to do with a little bit of the jet lag, but it's not a really hard trip to go to Europe and back. So you kind of expect yourself to rebound better than you do sometimes.
Right.
And, I was talking with my friend Edwin, and he was saying, Brian, it's just travel. Just give yourself a little time to rest. And, because I'm like frustrated and things aren't going well at the new building and here. And it's like, and then I'm my body hurts. And yeah, it's been a long week, and it's only Thursday.
Yeah. It's surprising how easy it was to adapt to their time and how hard it is to adjust to ours. But I guess that's normal.
Yeah.
That happened a few years ago when I went to Europe with my family, and just you forget that part of the travel.
All right, so let's dig in. So as we said, we did 7 places, and we did 2 visits a day, with the exception of the last day we had 1 visit. So we started by going to southeastern Ireland, and we have visited Adman Steel Shed and
Wexford.
Paul's business down in it was Gorey. I think they were in Gorey, just outside of Wexford.
Yep.
And that was like our first real introduction into what we were going to see in Ireland. Yeah. And what was as you walked into this place, what were your expectations, and what did they deliver?
I didn't know what to expect. I knew that they made steel sheds. They had a wide range of steel sheds, but they were classy, super classy. When I think of steel sheds in the U.S., it's this is a steel shed you put in your backyard, and in 5 years it's starting to rust. But this was high-end, nice quality stuff. Right away, I was blown away at how organized and how lean their office was. I'd never seen anything like it before. Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. There was a spot for everything. There was a label for everything. Yeah. It was so well organized. It was unreal.
I would say that was probably the best lean office that I had ever encountered to date. I mean, it was so wild how dug in they were.
Yeah, and that's a great standard that they've set there for everybody to achieve.
I mean, it went from the break room to their customer service to sales to accounting. I mean, it was just encompassing that entire office. Yeah. And when you walked into this place, you're like, holy. These guys got it together.
Yeah, it was unreal.
Yeah, it was really impressive. Some of the things that I thought were really cool, simple stuff like every salesperson had their own printer, so they don't have to walk to a common spot. And it's something that you can just overlook and think, we don't need to buy another $100 printer. But if everyone just has something like that, every workstation they had was standardized. So they all had the same stuff, the same exact things.
It was identical.
Yeah, so if you were to step to another work cell or work table, it was set up and ready to go.
Their drawers had everything in them. I mean, they could leave their desktop clean and just pull out the drawer whenever they needed something. Put it right back. It had the foam in there. The guys on foam. It was mind blowing.
And we got a chance to see their morning meetings. Some of these companies, we didn't get to see all their morning meetings, but we got to see Adman's morning meeting. And I had some really good takeaways. One of them was that they were basically doing a roll call during the day. It's almost like a who's absent, unexcused. And that was something that I had never even considered doing in a morning meeting, which we brought home and put into place this week.
We did.
And it's funny because when you get to that slide and you say, all right, unexcused absence, or what do we call them? Unplanned absences. Yeah, unplanned absences. And you're like, you're shocked because now we can plan, okay, well, that means we're short there, we're not short there, as opposed to getting to the workstation and realizing that, oh man, somebody didn't make it in today.
Now we know before the day starts where we need to flex people to help out in certain areas.
Yeah. Fast forwarding a little bit to CD Matters, they did a anybody out of the building today type thing and anyone leaving early type thing. So we kind of did that. Today's morning meeting, there were several of us that were going to be out of the building later today or out of the building this morning. And I thought that was something that should be in your morning meeting for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. We saw that at Applied Concepts too, I believe.
Yeah.
The planned absences and the unplanned.
The other thing with Adman was in their break room. They had a clear vision of what the company's goals were going forward. And they had basically each person in their leadership team had tasks lined up with their mission. And it was all the way down. So we're on this board, everything was so manual. They were writing down if something came up in a discussion, a problem, they were writing it on an improvement card and putting it on a board that they would circle back and discuss, tomorrow.
It was clear direction for everyone to see. And, a guideline for them to follow each day.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
So it was very forward thinking. I was very impressed.
I think that we were expecting this, we're oh my gosh, these guys might be CD Matters level. And then when we got out into their operations and we kind of realized, oh man, it kind of slipped away out there.
Sure.
And you could really tell where Paul's energy is, and it's in that office and it's in that development of his office. But by the time it gets out to the shop floor, which I've never seen a business do lean better in an office than they do on the shop floor. It's usually the opposite, right? The shop floor usually gets it. You can see the waste, you can feel the waste. In an office, it's much harder. But yeah, I saw it start to slip away out there, and I felt like they had a lot of really easy, low-hanging fruit opportunities to improve, to make their operation even better.
Yeah, the flow just didn't seem very smooth. They had a lot of lean practices out there.
Yeah.
A lot of their equipment was labeled correctly, SOPs, everything like that, but the flow just wasn't quite right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
room
like,
for improvement.
Their visual control in their factory was great.
It was fantastic.
But I mean, when you see somebody building a piece of metal that's, I don't know, 3 feet by 6 foot, and they're bending it and then they're carrying it across the shop like diagonally to a different area, you're like, why can't we connect some of this stuff? And I think we did a pretty good job of like, hey, why don't we look at some of this flow, some of these Kanban carts? They had like started on stuff, and it just seemed like they had so much opportunity to expand and grow with some flow changes.
Yeah, and I think they can do it.
Absolutely.
I think you just need to have a spaghetti diagram. Just say, hey, where's all this motion?
Yeah.
And what can we do to reduce that motion? What can we do to redesign the layout? Really?
Yeah.
If they redesign that layout,
Yeah.
why they're going to just take right off. And
Yeah.
they're going to expand like their goal is to.
Yeah. The other thing that we challenged them was like, hey, like, what is your highest making shed? Like, what is your highest profit? And they didn't know. And it was like, okay, they were making these giant like garage style sheds in the back building.
Right.
And we were like, are these profitable? And they're like, well, we think so. And I've been there 100%. Like, do you know if your product is profitable or not? Sometimes you got to dig in and say, listen, we're either going to make this or not make it, but we need to find out if it's worth making. First and foremost, because they're trying to grow, but they could be trying to grow while holding on to something that's 10% of the loss. And I thought that was something that they should really dig into. It seemed like something that they felt was an urgency. To try to find out, okay, what is our best selling shed? What is our highest profit product, and how can we lean into just focusing on that?
Yeah, I think they're looking into those things, but it was good for us to be there to challenge them. Say, hey, listen, you might be turning many of those over every week. However, are you making money at them?
Yeah. And Paul is like an exceptional leader. You can just see it.
Oh, yeah.
Like the moment you met him.
He's a visionary.
Yeah, you could tell he had a big plan and it was going to go. And Daniel, who was his improvement guy, I was like challenging him like, hey man, stop making laminated signs. Your visual control is good. Start looking at the flow.
Right.
And I think he kind of woke up when we started like pointing out stuff like, hey, why is this like this? And why is that like that? And he was kind of like, oh, you get caught in it because you're just working in it every day.
It's very easy to get caught up.
You get busy and you're like, okay, well, if visual control is our priority, you spend all your time working on your visual control, and then next thing you know, you're not focusing on things that actually influence the bottom line.
Right.
And they had a lot of fixtures they're probably fixtures that they've had for a long time where they're kind of assembling these things and their guys are like stepping into them. So they have to be low, but most of the time they're like bending over to work in those things. So I feel like there was something that they could do to maybe improve on that as well.
Exactly.
So after that, we were going down to Murphy's Precast Concrete, and this is John Murphy's company.
Yeah.
The story for me is this: they were kind of like, hey, it's Paul's best friend. He doesn't do a lot of tours, so he does lean, but my expectations were super low. So when I got there, I didn't even bother getting out like all of my cameras and stuff because I wasn't expecting much,
Right.
And freaking Patrick and John.
He and Patrick have
Oh my gosh. They were by far the sleeper on this tour. I mean, I was just blown away at how great that was. And, we got into the office was where he started, he showed us his morning meeting area and that stuff. And we started talking about purchasing and how we could how they can scan on the back of the comic cards. So we did a bunch of help in there. And obviously their office side lean wasn't like prevalent. And then, nothing of it. All right, we're going to go walk out into the yard. I didn't even think to get my camera. Man, once we got out into that yard, holy cow. I was like, oh man, I wish I had my camera. It was so good.
It was incredible.
It was probably one of my favorite tours.
I agree.
And John was just such a great guy. And Patrick, oh my gosh, they are just getting it.
Those guys are just passionate about lean.
Yeah.
I mean, they live and breathe lean every day. And I think that they just set such a good example because precast work is not easy work.
Yeah.
That's heavy work. It's messy. It's dirty, but that place was spotless. I mean, I know when you have a tour group coming, you're going to make your place look great, right?
Yeah.
But you can tell that place is exceptional all the time.
It was even like down to like the rebar, the rebar structures they had to make. They made like a whole cell, and they set up like a whole like yard to work in the flow of creating those rebar fixture and parts. And as Patrick was saying, they used to take all this rebar and just kind of like literally throw it in a ditch when they delivered it.
Unload it in the ditch and then drag it out of the ditch to...
Yeah. They even made Kanban carts that they were transferring to the rebar makers, the people that were, and so they would fill those carts back up, and then those carts would come back on their trucks right back into production. I mean, they just get it.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. And it's like you said, it's real dirty because it's precast, so you expect it to be messy, but it was not messy.
No. And the thing that I thought was so impressive is that work is labor intensive, but they took a lot of that burden out of the labor. They just make work easy.
Yeah. You know, with precast, you can create a ton of waste that's the defects would be essentially giant rocks that you have to smash apart, right? So it's very important that they do this right and that their molds are correct. But it was like even like the little 2-second improvements that they made on all their fixtures and their molds and everything else, like everything was being so well thought of by the people on the floor.
Yes. Exactly.
And that's where you could tell that like Patrick and John were like creating a culture that is going to thrive.
Yes.
And
that really stood out.
Yeah, for sure. And the product was cool too. They made these like cow watering troughs, and you know, they were like lean thinking and how they nested them and how the parts fit together and stuff. And I just thought it was super cool. One of the things though in the office they were talking about was when they talked to the farmers, and they're explaining to the farmers, you know, like, hey, the majority of milk is water, and you know, you don't want to skimp on the watering size.
Right. You
give them more water, you'll get more milk. But it's like them knowing their customer.
Yeah.
And then trying to help their customer make a better product too.
Exactly.
It was so good. I gave Patrick a couple of improvement ideas as we were going through, and he actually was stopping and doing them like right then and there.
Yeah.
And I was like, he like went and grabbed something, and he immediately started going into it. And I was like, oh man, these guys are
those guys were really, every place we visited was very receptive to feedback. They were eager to hear from us what we thought. Fresh set of eyes into a brand new location for us. We've never been there before.
Yeah.
And they were very receptive, especially John and Patrick. It was neat to see.
So after that, we had to drive up to Offley, which is the home of Applied Concepts, and we got to go to their morning meeting because we stayed the night before. Once again, we got in really late, and when we got into the town, not a city, town, there were no restaurants open.
No,
it was like completely closed. Like it was 7:30 at night, and we couldn't find food anywhere. We went to we drove by 3 or 4 places that Google Maps said was open.
Right.
Before the last place was closing, and they told us, hey, you can go here.
And we were glad that place was closing. That place was a dive. And you can go to our sister hotel. And we thought, well, I hope it's the cute sister and not the ugly stepsister, because this thing is a dump.
Yeah, it was rough. But I was so tired at that point, and I was just like, I don't want to drive around 3 miles or 6 kilometers to figure out if this place is open.
Right.
You know, and it wasn't even like you could go to a gas station and just get like a honey bun and a Coke.
Right.
Because they're all closed.
Everything's closed.
It is
like
the
7 p.m. is the cutoff. It was like going back to COVID times. Where everything just was done at 7.
Yeah. So anyways, we ended up getting dinner, and then we made it over to Applied Concepts for their morning meeting. And the first person we met was Kevin Brady. And everybody tells stories about Kevin Brady because he's freaking phenomenal. But he is like a shining star of lean.
Absolutely.
And he's like this like classic like dry Irish guy. So it's really hard to like he's stoic.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like super stoic.
He's a beast of a man and a beast of a leader too.
Yeah, and it was incredible because they were doing some really impressive things. As a small company that's working on like sandblasting pots and stuff, they had stumbled into a compressor that runs off a PTO for a tractor, and now they're getting into this ag market, and that product was phenomenally cool.
Yeah,
and the story was really cool because Kevin said that he took on this production supervisor role, I guess, and operations manager, and he had never even knew what that was. He was just an engineer. Yeah. So he knew that he had to focus on revamping the product before he worked on the culture. So he spent 2 years completely revamping their products, so that then they could start doing lean. And Mark, the owner, he obviously has reservations because he had done lean in the past and didn't want to do it again because he lived through it. It was a little sloppy. But they took the greatest like before videos. Mark made this video where he walked around his entire business and did like a before of like before Kevin started. Oh my gosh, how many of us would kill to have that video?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, as embarrassing as it is.
Yeah, and I think it was, this is the before video, and let's see what lean can do. Let's
Yeah.
see if this actually is going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew it needed to be improved, but let's see how good this lean's going to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
This was one of my favorite stops because they are a metal manufacturer. We're a metal manufacturer. Kevin is making a bunch of accessories and parts and stuff internally there.
Right.
And we're doing a very similar thing here. So it was very relatable. And like they were making like their own crane systems. I mean, anything. They made it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really fun to see because you can tell Kevin has the leadership qualities to run that business, but then he's also using his engineering mind to apply lean and just make things so much better and so much easier.
Yeah. I can't remember who, but somebody asked me like why they thought Kevin had so much traction, with his team. And I was like, well, it's easy. He's a humble person and he's an engineer and he can fix all their problems on the floor.
Right.
So when they're saying, hey, this is a problem, he goes to his computer, designs something, boom, here's it's easy to get buy-in when you're fixing people's problems.
Exactly. And they can come to him openly and just say, hey, Kevin, can you make this easier for me?
Yeah.
Just, I'm thinking about this. I've got this idea. And he's working with these guys.
Yeah.
And what a great relationship he has with his employees.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then let's not sell Mark short at all.
No, not at all.
Oh man. Now Mark went from I don't want to do lean to like he's all in. And you can tell he's all in. And between the two of them, I mean, they're going to grow the shit out of that company.
Yeah, that company it's going places for
Yeah.
sure.
It
Especially
was-
if they get into other markets.
Like
in
the ag market. That ag market. Yeah.
They come over here. Wow.
They were showing some of their staff's improvements as well. So his name is Justin. He was a welder.
Right.
Oh my gosh, his stuff, it was amazing.
Yeah.
The rotisserie fixtures and all that stuff. Yeah. It was just amazing to see the stuff that they were doing. Not even top down, but like bottom up.
Right, exactly. Again, making work easier.
Yeah.
Just by changing that fixture. Okay, now I don't have to weld upside down. Now I don't have to weld on the side. I can just rotate the whole fixture, the whole part.
Yeah.
That
was a tough one because Kevin wanted like feedback. He wanted me to give him like really hard feedback. So I was trying to be critical while on the tour. I was able to come up with like 4 things for him, but it wasn't like it wasn't like it was easy to say, hey man, this sucks and that sucks.
Right.
I mean, everything was just so good. And, I gave him a handful of things. And what we talked about was, some of the like teaming up or pairing because we've started to do a lot more of that.
Right.
And, could they pair up guys?
They were very receptive to that.
Yeah, and their staff was really receptive to that. For them, it's because it's easier, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
we've seen a huge increase in productivity, 25 to 30%. Really,
yeah, by pairing.
just by pairing guys up. So.
Yeah, so I hope that they can, really like continue to go and grow, which I assume they will.
Yeah,
oh my
I'm sure
gosh.
they will.
I would be shocked if next time we visit them in Ireland that they're not twice their size.
Right.
I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
the one thing that did happen during that as well is, so Mari from ATC, she came and she
Mari
brought
and
Adele.
Adele,
Yep. And they came to the Applied Concepts
Right.
with us. So we got to spend like the whole day with them.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, like, Mari Clifford is like she's the best. She's in the Improvement Starts with I group, and I thoroughly enjoy her so much. Her thoughtfulness when she like does voice messages or videos and stuff, it's you can just feel it, right? So you just feel like I felt like I had a really good connection with her before I even met her.
Yeah.
So it was awesome that they came on the Applied tour as well. So we got to kind of like
Yeah.
spend the whole day together. But obviously after that, we got done with Applied. We had to drive to ATC, and they're just over an hour and 10 minutes away,
right around there.
and that was over in Shannon, Ireland. So now we're working our way back towards the like the middle part of I guess the middle west part of Ireland.
Yeah.
And so then we got to visit them and their facility.
Yeah, that's a neat place. They had a lot of good visual control. I really liked the matrix board, the skills matrix board that they had there. All of their vision was laid out very clear for everyone to understand. I think they even defined
Yeah.
a lot of their key words, their key goals for everyone to see. Their staff was really bought in, and they've got a really good culture there too.
It's really cool because they're making like lean products and they're doing it for like large companies. So, they're building like flow racks and Gemba board signs and stuff like that. And so they had it just everywhere. And it was neat because like Mari's like transitioning the company. It was her dad's at one point and now she's in charge and she's trying to like redefine it. Her and I have a very similar like scope of last few years where we have kind of withdrawn from our business and kind of been like semi part-time, doing a lot of traveling and fun stuff. She was into hiking. And same thing. We kind of got pulled back into our business because we had like a crisis or a need, and she's in that same spot. But it's fun because like they're so hungry to grow.
They are.
And they're so hungry to be like a shining beacon in Ireland that it was just like so fun. When they wanted criticism, and man, Tom and I and you, we sat down in that, and we were just like, I mean, they wrote pages and pages and pages of things down that we were like giving them, and you know that they're going to put action to all of it.
They will, for sure. Yeah, Edel is a really good leader there.
Yeah.
I think even though she's part-time, she's making huge changes, and that company is doing very well.
Yeah, I think they had some traditional things. They had like a store, I guess you would call it, or like a supply room, and it was like
parts room.
Parts room, and it was like fenced in and like a gate with a buzzer and everything.
It was a little bit weird.
Yeah, and it was
not what we're used to.
Yeah, we're not used to that at all. It's like a parts crib, on some of these big companies.
Right.
And my big challenge was just take it down, like get rid of it. Well, you're just creating waste because now someone has to go reset the buzzer because it's going off, or you're holding people from being able to get the work done. And I thought that they could, tear that out, and then they could also utilize the person working in that stock room as a water spider for the rest of their operation.
He was doing a great job of organizing that. He had breadcrumbs going. He had a lot of good labeling, and it was a neat area. You could tell it was something it was a project. I'm guessing he started in the last few days.
Yeah,
he was making significant progress, and you could definitely tell where he was. The work that he was up to, right? Yeah. The stuff that was not labeled correctly, that was not marked. Yeah. Very distinct, and he's doing a great job in there.
That's a prime example of like a 3S area. Yes. They're going to get stuck throwing some shit away. Yeah. But it's okay. It happens, right? You buy stuff for a job, and the job ends, and you don't need it anymore. You can either try to inventory it all, or at some point you just got to get rid of it. One thing I thought was really cool is actually it was like split into two businesses. Yeah. In the back of their building, they had this auto shop or mechanics shop.
Yeah. It's like a small engine repair shop type.
Yeah. And they were working for the Irish Railroad. Right. So it was a contract they've had forever. And I thought it was neat because they had, even though it was like a different business, a different feel, the people were doing lean.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There was two guys in there, two mechanics. They had U-shaped cells for their workstations. They were working on all sorts of pneumatic parts. They were hydraulic engines, hydraulic things,
yeah. And the visual control was great because they had areas marked waiting for parts. Yes.
It was a color coded system. I think there was 4 colors there. Yeah. Each had its own designation. Everything had its own tag. It was very well organized.
Even on the Kanban, the bins, like spark plugs, they had the spark plug out and zip tied to the front so you could easily just match it up. Right. Like their guys were taking the struggle out of their job.
Absolutely.
And you could tell that it was cool. It was cool to see. I thought it was neat,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think sometimes maybe Mari's just a little bit embarrassed because it doesn't really fit into the other scope of what they do. But I still think it's so unique in what it is.
It definitely is.
I was sending videos to my friend Mike, who's a mechanic, because he's always struggling to find that kind of stuff. And that's such a valuable resource when people can find a way to adapt lean into that mechanic garage aspect because it's hard. It's just like doing it in the office.
Most garages you go into and you've got parts everywhere. Yeah. That was so well organized, and so it was just labeled. Everything was just, it was neat. It was tidy, and the guys could get their work done very fast and efficiently.
Yeah. So that was a fun visit. I'm glad we made the trip. I absolutely am so glad. And I'm so glad they joined us at Applied because it was fun to spend the whole day with them. My only regret is that we didn't have time to take them up on dinner. Yes. Because we had to hit the road because we had a big drive.
We had a long drive, yeah.
And we made it longer, as Americans should. We decided that we wanted to see the Cliffs of Moher. Yep. Which were about 2 hours, maybe just over an hour, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Just an hour from Shannon. I don't know. It was a long drive.
I don't know what it was. It was long.
But holy cow, the western half of Ireland is freaking gorgeous.
Yes, it is.
Oh my God. I'm so glad we drove over there. Yeah. Because it would stink to miss it.
Right. That's usually at the top of the list on the things to see and do in Ireland, go to the cliffs. So
but it added 2 hours to our journey, which became over 8 hours heading up to Limavady.
Right. Yes, that was a long drive.
And leading up to this point, we should say that I was doing all of the driving because I wanted Tom to experience how it felt to have an American who's never driven on the wrong side of the road drive him around Ireland.
His own country.
Yeah. I was a little tired at that point, and he was like, hey, I'll do some driving tonight. So I let him kind of take over. And Tom failed to pull a Kanban card, didn't he?
We needed petrol, and we stretched it out. We figured out We figured out exactly how many liters that good Renaulti could hold.
So how many liters of fuel does a red 2025 Arcana
Yeah.
Renault hold?
It holds 50.
And how many liters did we fill up?
I think we did 48 and a half, maybe.
Yeah, at 11:30 at night.
Yes.
In the middle of nowhere, after going past 6 closed
At
gas
least
stations.
6. And then we came to one that was open finally.
Yeah.
And when we pulled off to the side, we're looking at Google
Yeah,
Maps.
we're like, woo!
We've got some that are open 24 hours. Nope. Past that one.
Yeah.
Nope. Then finally we find the one that's open, and all of the unleaded pumps are bagged.
Yeah,
because they're out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no,
Yeah.
now what?
Yeah, and then we had to go like, I don't remember, it was like 15
At
more
least 15
miles.
more kilometers.
Yeah, it was a mess. And we thought we were going to run out. You know, once we got to like less than a couple miles from a station, I was like, okay, that's fine. We can walk and sort it out.
Right.
But the entire time, Tom's telling us, hey, if we run out of gas, you guys are going to have to go into a pub as dumb Americans and tell them that you ran out of...
They're going to help you. They're not going to help me. And you have to remember, too, on these roads, these are all like narrow 2-lane roads. They're not, there's no freeways, there's no highways. It's not like the U.S. where everything is just spread out. Mm-hmm. It's all these tiny winding roads, all hedges around you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's nothing in the distance, right? It's just, you can't see anything.
Yeah. You're essentially driving an entire country at like 45 miles an hour.
Right.
And that's exactly what it was. You'd be like, oh, look, it's only 70 miles, but that's 2.5 hours to go.
Right.
So that was an experience.
It was fun.
But
It was an adventure.
so we got to Limavady and we stayed at the hotel. We got in real late that night. I think we got in sometime around 12:30 or 1.
That was very late.
And then we had to be up bright and early so that we could get to
the
CD
morning
Matters.
meeting.
Yeah, for the morning meeting at CD Matters. Now everybody wants to go to CD Matters.
Right. That's the Mecca, right?
Right, that is the Mecca. And, you know, it was kind of surreal to be there. I made the reference that their morning meeting time kind of felt like a mega church, you know, with like music playing and like people kind of being real friendly. And
Yeah.
like, you know,
I think that the room, just the design of the room made it feel that way.
yeah, maybe it was like the natural light coming in and the cathedral ceiling,
Right.
The vaulted ceiling.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, we came in and kind of walked through, we got to kind of see it before we really went on the tour part of it. You know, Tom kind of walked us through and in. And so we got to see stuff. But like all the stuff that we saw there, we've seen it like in videos and stuff. And it's very well represented in the world. So it wasn't like, I didn't feel like I was seeing like everything like crazy new for the first time.
Right. Not at all.
And it felt like it was like affirmation of what they were showing is like real.
Yes.
And so we did like the real like Seating Matters tour. And that was a neat experience because you can see how Ryan had like continually evolved that into what it was. And, you know, we had, oh man, I don't know how many people were, there was another 6 or 8 people on the tour with us.
At least.
And
that group was probably 15.
and many of them had never even heard of lean. They were just there because
It was
their
first
boss
time,
said,
first exposure, really.
yeah, hey, we want this culture, go look at it. And that's what they were there for. So you can see where they had to really like kind of dial back. You know, like when we do a lean tour, they're already like doing lean and they just want to see, you know, how we're doing it. They're like starting from nowhere.
Right.
So it's like a learning experience for these people.
Yeah. It was neat to go on the tour with them because we've been living it for the last 10 months or close to 10 months now.
Yeah.
And so, and then the two of us are in deep with it, right?
Yeah.
We're aware of it. We've listened to podcasts. We're reading books. And from their perspective, they're green.
Yeah.
So.
It was like, it's almost like this like lean revival tour that they're on. They're creating with all this business. It's all pull, right?
Right.
And Ryan had messaged me because he was actually in the UK doing some filming or podcasts with Toyota, so he wasn't able to be there. And he was like, "Hey, Brian, it's Ryan." Anyways, he was like, "Hey, if you don't mind, give me feedback." And I'm like, "Oh man, how am I going to give feedback? How am I going to critique Seating Matters?" Right. So that was a tough one, but I was really glad that we got to do the Seating Matter tour because I was actually able to critique the tour quite a bit and give him some improvement ideas for that. Yeah. So I kind of just tried to put myself in like the shoes of a person that has never seen Seating Matters and was seeing it for the first time. And that was how I kind of gave them feedback on how to like maybe tweak their tour a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Kiara did, Kiara?
Yes, Kara.
Kiara, she did a great job with that tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was, I don't know, I really enjoyed that tour a lot. You could see the passion. She had the passion for what they were doing. And each station that we stopped at, the sewing room, Beverly was there.
Oh man,
she is on
yeah.
fire.
How great was it that we got Beverly as one of our tour guides? I mean, she's just like,
That was a joy.
she's like lean famous.
And she's been with the company for, I think she said 16 years.
Yeah.
So she's seen them go from the worst to the best.
Yeah.
And how fun would that be?
Yeah.
Just to see that transformation and experience that.
It was really
she's passionate about what she does.
It was fun to see the sewing room with all the improvements, with the bins on their, you know, all
the
that
rack system.
Yeah, that was really cool
So
as well.
efficient. So after the tour, then Allison and Paul, their improvement manager, Allison's the operations manager, the two of them grabbed us, and we got to go a little bit more behind the scenes as to what they're doing and see a little bit more than what you see on the tour.
Yeah, and I thought that was really great because I wanted to see like their welding area, but I also wanted to see like where, you know, where the parts come through. And that was kind of fun. And Paul, oh my gosh, Paul's a star.
Yeah, he is.
He was so excited to like show off the stuff that they had done. And it was cool.
It really was.
I think the hardest thing to understand is the scale. You know what I mean? Like you see all the stuff and you don't understand like how compact some of those areas are. And even like their laser department to their brake press department to where it's feeding fab. I mean, it's like right on top of each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. They've eliminated a ton of motion that way. And initially you say it seems kind of crowded, but it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant what they do there.
And they just had gotten a new wash system. So they had this automated wash for the powder coating.
That was really cool.
And they were reclaiming some area where the wash bay was. And so that was kind of cool to see, you know, that space changing. They also said that they made improvements to where they're down to, what they say down to 2 welders.
Right.
I think they were up to 4, and they had a cobot that they were working on implementing. So it's kind of cool to see them bringing some automation into the temp.
Yes. Yeah, they're definitely progressing.
But
they're never satisfied.
No, never.
And it's neat to see that.
Yeah. Even when I was talking to Ryan later, you know, that was it. I mean, like he's so hungry to like see more waste or get more ideas to implement more improvements. And it's like, they're just relentless.
It's contagious, really.
Yeah.
You can't help but visiting all of these places and walk away saying, yeah, this is the direction we're going. And wow, we've got work to do.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you can see how successful Lean has been for them.
My biggest takeaway visiting CD Matters was at that point where I started to see Ryan's fingerprints across everywhere we had visited in Ireland.
Without a doubt.
And I mean, like he has completely influenced all of these people. And I mean, he's like a folk hero of Lean in Ireland. Yeah. And it's just amazing because like the way that they do tours, you're starting to see why they're doing tours the same way. You know, it's like, but it was just so much of Ryan's influence was spread all over this country.
Absolutely.
And you know, it's one of his goals to make Lean the next, or Ireland, to make Ireland the next Japan.
Oh, he's well on his way.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
They are there.
Yeah. When Ryan and I were talking about this later, I was saying, you know, there's these little sleeper businesses that you don't even know that are inspired by you that are out there doing this and you haven't even discovered them yet.
Right.
I mean, hundreds of businesses, I bet, are out there doing Lean or trying to do Lean or trying to grow, yet the leaders aren't like the type of person that's just going to reach out.
Right.
You know, and then sometimes like, you know, Ryan's at this high level where why would I reach out if I'm down here just starting, you know, I'm going to wait till I get a little momentum before I, you know, come out and say, hey, look, I'm a Lean company. But yeah, that was really fun to see. It was fun to see CD Matters. And after that, we drove over to, is it Antrim? That was where SDC Trailers, and that was where Decky and Cahill and Paul. Yeah, and they were doing, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was a really cool place. I wish we could have spent a little bit more time there.
Yeah.
Yeah, building the trailers.
Yeah. So all the trailers pretty much in Europe. I mean, it was
huge operation.
Yeah, semi-trailers.
Yes.
And they were basically this giant company, and they're now like, as Decky says, they're doing Lean from the top down, and they have some improvers, but they're not really focused on that. They're focused on like fixing the flow of the actual trailers.
What a huge project that they were working on, just redesigning this. I don't even know how many square feet that.
Yeah, it was
that
humongous.
factory was. It was just gigantic. It was like we went from small businesses to huge corporation.
Yeah,
and they were just totally transforming the inside of that layout. Just concrete was getting ripped out, and
equipment was getting thrown away.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was unreal.
Yeah, it was really cool because Decky just kind of like grabbed onto me and like took me, and it was fun to spend time with him because he's like a Lean legend in himself.
Yeah,
and you know, he was like, he had so much passion for what they were doing, and he was telling me like, we're going to take that and we've made that work, but we're going to move it over here. So it's right in line. It's feeding right here. And I could see it because I'm really good at like visualizing that stuff. So it was really cool to see like, because right now it's under construction. There's still blasting units that have to come out. There's a new one that's getting online. And then after that, they can start moving more stuff. They were making room for like this huge laser system with towers. And I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to go back to that place, a year from now and just see how it's transformed their business.
Yeah.
And it already seemed to be quite efficient.
Yeah.
The way they were doing it. But wow, they're going to just be rolling those trailers out there.
So Kyle's like a great dude. And you see him all over the Improvement Starts Live chat group all the time. And I never realized how young he was until we got there.
Yeah.
And, but you could just see like, he's got it.
For sure.
He definitely has that thing that it takes to like take a business. Like
he's got the drive for sure.
For sure. And even like the storeroom where they had like the 2-bin system and they were working through Kanban. And it was at that point I found out that they don't even use an ERP system.
Right.
And I was just like, what? I mean, this place is humongous.
Huge corporation.
How are they managing it? But they found a way. But it was pretty cool to see. And I feel like their energy, the three of them, Paul, Decky, and Cahill, the energy was everything to create the lean environment for
It's
their
driving significant change.
Yeah. And they shared some of their struggles, like trying to put their entire team through watching Ryan's, 3S video. And, he's like, I watched it like 47 times.
It took weeks.
Yeah. And it seemed like they were kind of realized that was just a bad use of their time. So they kind of shifted back to just focus on, let's fix the flow. Let's fix the problems on the floor for them and they'll buy in.
Yeah, exactly. And it sounded like they had 40, maybe 50 people that were really engaged in learning, but that's just going to spread.
It will.
Because people are going to see that, and it's going to create so much pull.
Yeah.
And I think you can't help but notice the changes. I mean, those employees must see these changes that are making significant improvements in their work, and it's going to just create more pull and more buy-in.
It's like the Art Burn lean turnaround strategy. You go into a business, you look at all the waste, you move all the crap, you fix all the burden, and then people go, oh, this makes sense.
Yes.
That's the approach they're going. And I think it's a fine approach.
It's working.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely make micro improvements and stop and fix and all this stuff to grow. But it's hard to do that when you have thousands of employees.
Right. Exactly.
And you're on top of that, you're also doing lean from, you're essentially doing lean from the bottom up because you're not the president or, you know what I mean? Like you're not the top person.
Right.
But they're making giant strides in where they're at.
That was very neat to see.
Yeah.
That's a huge project, but wow, they're hitting home runs.
So now that we're in Northern Ireland, I got a text on my phone that said, hey, you took the little red Renault out of Ireland. Now we're going to have to charge you €37 or something. So anyways, that was pretty funny. After that, we had to make way really quick. We didn't have a lot of time at SDC. We had, I don't even remember, less than an hour, 45 minutes or something there. And we had to head over because we were going to the Northwest 200 motorcycle race.
Yeah, that was a great experience.
Yeah.
Dwayne from
Hampton Conservatories.
Hampton Conservatories, yes, thanks. Yeah, Dwayne met us there.
Yeah.
We had VIP tickets there.
Yeah, thanks to Tom.
Yeah, thanks to Tom. That was a great experience. Huge motorcycle race. I think there's over 200,000 people that show up for that every year. It dates back to 1928, I believe. I did a little bit of research. I'm into racing. You are too, but that was a neat experience.
Yeah, it was really fun to meet Dwayne, and it was funny because he was like, Tom was like, hey, I'm bringing these two Americans and we're going to go to this race. And his idea of what we were going to be versus what we are, at one point he looked at Tom and he was like, yeah, these guys are good.
Yeah.
He's like, they just do the same thing we do. Yeah, make fun of everybody and pick on stuff. Yeah, that's us.
Right, exactly. Have a good time.
Yeah. So that was a fun evening. We got to see several races and got to eat some food there, sit in a tent, walk around the pits.
Yeah, that was really neat.
And Dwayne was, oh my gosh, dude, he's so in love with that.
Yeah.
So that was fun to have his passion for
exactly.
it.
You can tell that the whole community just really, all of Northern Ireland, it felt like it was really passionate about that race.
And Northern Ireland is gorgeous. The north part of Northern Ireland, oh my gosh, that is
definitely my
wildly,
favorite part.
Yeah, I would say so. The cliffs were great when we visited the cliffs, but I mean, Northern Ireland is gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that was fun to see. We stayed in a really, I don't know, you want to call it like an A-frame house.
Like a chalet.
Yeah, overlooking the bay. I mean, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so that was fun. We got there real late because of all the traffic from the motorcycle race, another late night.
Right.
But we didn't have to get up super early because, unfortunately, Hampton Conservatories works 4:10s.
Right.
So we were just like, hey, we'll be there sometime around 11. And so we show up. Dwayne was able to give us the tour of Hampton Conservatories. Unfortunately, their staff wasn't there, so that was kind of a big bummer.
Yeah. You could still see, you could get the idea of what they're doing, and you could see all the SOPs everywhere. It was so well organized, and wow, is he passionate. Dwayne is just so passionate about making improvements and continuing to make improvements, and just that relentless pursuit.
Yeah. He walked us through his morning meeting and what it looked like. And then, but it was cool because at one point he said, you know, for the longest time, we went to CD Matters and we saw what they were doing. And then we tried to be CD Matters here. And he said, at some point, we just decided we needed to do lean Hampton Conservatories way. And I thought that was like really powerful and mature to say, because it's easy to mimic things that other people are doing, but all of us are unique in the way that we run our businesses. So we should be looking to be influenced by people like Ryan Tierney and CD Matters, but we should be looking at how do we make it look like us? And I thought they did a really good job of making that transition and kind of sliding into what they wanted to look like.
Yes. Yeah, I think that the thing that, that was very evident that they're doing that, making it their own. The things that really stuck out to me was their skills matrix. Dwayne had that chart just dialed in so well.
Oh, it was so good.
Oh, it was just like, here, I want to show you this. Here, I want to show you this. I was like, oh my word. Like,
yeah, from a manager standpoint, looking at the way that they're managing everything, people and their work was like eye-opening.
Yes.
I had a lot of really good takeaways. I really enjoyed that visit. You could see the culture even though they weren't there, and you could tell that these people are really in it.
Yeah, they are focused on developing their crew there.
Yeah, and
it's very challenging. It was very good to see.
Yeah, I've thought, like, if I go back to Ireland, that's definitely one of the places I'm 100% visiting again, because the stuff that they do, I mean, it's not just like, here's a two-bin Kanban system. You know what I mean? It was all the development stuff, you know, and the passion they put into development. Like, Dwayne was working through a quarterly check-in list, and it had a picture of every employee, and then, you know, each quarter it had, you know, red or green.
Yeah.
So it's like, how often do we forget to follow up in like that kind of level?
Yeah.
And he had figured out a system that I was like, oh man, we got to do that.
Yeah.
He is working on a way to like rank them. He signs 3S areas and then like ranking them and like scoring them. It was just so cool because you could see the continuous improvement that they had made on everything that they were doing.
Yeah. 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 The ownership areas were really neat to see. And you can tell that they're not just using the tools of lean, but they're, you know, too often I think people look at the tools, right?
Yeah.
And the training and stuff like that, but they're not focusing on the people. And Dwayne does an exceptional job of that.
And one of the things that Dwayne said that kind of resonated with me was like, he's like, we're not looking for these little micro improvements anymore. We're trying to find these gold standard improvements that save us tons of money or save us tons of time. And I thought that, you know, at some point you have to switch your focus from my pin is on the left side, I'm right-handed, I'm going to move it over here. Sure, those are great, but like put some mind power into like your process. How do you save big money and how do you save big time? Well, you take big bites out of processes that are, you know, just laying out there. So
yeah, each of their guys had their workstations. I don't remember the names of the guys in their workstations, but they had a couple of their work cells that were just
awesome,
next level, like next level thinking. I mean, they had a turntable underneath one of their welding benches, and just all the tools were there. Everything
was labeled. Everything had a home. Oh my gosh, they're exceptional, and they made a really cool product, like a really cool product. Yeah. And I really enjoyed that visit. And even their office staff was there that day, so we got to talk to some of their office staff and see some of the improvements that they used in their office. Yeah. I thought that was really fun.
Another well-run office.
But that kind of wrapped up our journey. Yeah. You know, that was the end of it. We had a lean supper. They Northern Irish guys, they do this lean supper. I don't know if it's quarterly or monthly, but I asked
quarterly.
Yeah, I asked them, hey, is there any chance you guys could do a lean supper while I was in town? And they totally came through for us.
That was a good group of guys.
Yeah.
It was neat to see different guys come together from totally different businesses. Really.
Yeah.
And I think 3 or 4 of the guys knew each other, have known each other for most of their lives.
Yeah.
But they've gone their separate ways in different companies.
Yeah.
And it's just neat to see that camaraderie, that fellowship, and sharing different ideas that they've had.
Yeah. Yes, that was really fun and
good way to wrap it up.
Yeah, for sure. So this was by far. So when you do like a lean tour, there's a lot to digest. Your mind like fills with all these ideas, and you're like, how do I digest this? for me, I've done this a few times. So like, I understand that like, you just want to like pinch your eyes and be like, ah, and this is like the first time that you've like seen it at this level, right?
Yeah, that's a lot to absorb, a lot to process, but it's given me a lot to think about throughout this week. Just like, you can't do it all at once, right?
Yeah.
You just can't. Like,
Yeah.
no matter how much you want to, you just can't.
So what would you say, like, what is your biggest takeaway from this trip to Ireland?
I think my biggest takeaway would be that I need to focus more on developing people. I think investing more time into developing leaders.
Yeah.
I think that would be my biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
Because I saw that done so many times in each of these places. You can just tell that they're putting effort into the people. They're really trying to get those skills that everybody has out of their people and help develop that. So I'd say that was probably my biggest challenge and biggest takeaway.
So I have two takeaways. One, Dublin smells like piss.
It does. Unfortunately. It's a cool old city, but it definitely needs to be cleaned.
But my biggest lean takeaway was stop and fix by far. I think that's something that we have a really bad habit here of, like, we find a problem and we stick it on our desk and we're going to get to it when we have time, or we'll wait till more pop up.
I am guilty of that.
Yeah. So I've been really heavy leaning into this. Just stop and fix it. Stop and fix it now. Don't let it compound later. Don't let it create a problem for the next person, because it will, right?
It will, for sure.
When it's sitting on our desk in the corner where we need to do it, it's bound to pop up again for somebody else, and they're going to deal with it when we could have just fixed it.
I was guilty of it the other day. I found a molly panel on the shelf underneath some boxes, and I set it down, and I just laid it up against our shelving. Yeah. And then the next morning, you're like, hey, what is this? What's up with this?
Yeah.
It's in the way. I didn't stop and fix it.
Yeah. I think that's important. A really, really important thing to move forward is, just continuing to be willing to like look at places and visit places. Take staff with you when you go.
Oh, it's so
Don't
important.
go alone. You know what I mean? Like, if you're
you can't just describe things to people and expect them to understand it. But when they're there seeing things in person, wow, it
changes everything.
It does.
It absolutely changes everything. So like moving forward, I'm making sure that like I take people whenever I can. Splitting that around to all the Lean All-Stars so they can all get some visits places, because it's easy to describe it. It's hard to understand it.
It is.
And when you can see it, people's takeaways are different. Your takeaways were very different than my takeaways in Ireland. And that's kind of why it was great to have you on that trip, so that we could both, it was like a two-part thing. We were kind of tackling, each of us are going to have our own takeaways. Each of us are going to have our own things to improve on. Yeah. But what a great trip.
It was absolutely incredible. Thanks so much for taking me along with you.
Yeah,
and thanks to Tom Hughes for
thanks
being
for
a great host.
Yeah, everybody in Ireland was just so kind and
Wonderful
so polite.
people. Yeah.
It was so nice to feel so welcomed, and it was genuine. Like
it really was.
Yeah,
yeah. That was really nice to see that they were welcoming. They wanted to showcase what they've been doing, but they also wanted that feedback. And I just think it's such a great community to be.
It really is
to be a part of.
Yeah, it really is a great community. So anyways, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who invited us to visit you guys in Ireland. And thank you so much for all the time you gave us, poured into us. You know that we're going to make some big changes here, and I hope you guys continue to make changes there. We will be back. I will be back. Brian will be back. We are coming again, because you guys are doing Lean at an exceptional level and should be held at that standard of the new Japan. Because your guys' way of doing Lean is so relatable. Japan is hard to relate to because of the scale and the culture that they already have built in. You can go there and your brain wants to explode. When you come to Ireland and look at it, it's very similar to the same way that we're doing business. So it's easy to relate. It's easy to have good takeaways, and it's easy to have easy and quick transitions back home to implement those ideas. So I just want to say thank you so much, everyone that we met in Ireland. You guys all rock. And I can't wait to see you guys again. And we will catch you guys on the next episode.